Good rainy Saturday morning. Welcome to All Levels Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. Let's begin in child's pose. Bringing your feet together, and you decide if you want to have your knees together or even very wide apart, so that find the option that's more comfortable for you to relax your forehead down. And you can even place something underneath your forehead like a block or your forearms. So today is the last day of our week-long review of different approaches to the third yama, Asteya, which means non-stealing. And I found this article by yoga activist Susanna Barkataki on cultural appropriation and how that might be a form of stealing or taking away. So cultural appropriation, as she defines it, happens when a dominant group adopts, benefits from, shares, and even exploits the customs, practices, ideas, social and spiritual knowledge of another, usually target or subordinate society or people. And she says that the antidote to that is cultural appreciation, which involves power balancing, sharing power or using privilege or advantage to uplift or support an under-resourced group or people. And the second is non-harm, which is the first yama, ahimsa. And that's reducing or mitigating harm or actively uplifting the source culture and its people. So this can include financial, social, political, emotional, and cultural care and support. And then she talks about coming towards a tradition with openness, willingness to listen to that cultural group that you are appreciating rather than appropriating from, with a sense of respect and humility to engage in mutual exchange, avoiding harm and addressing power imbalances. And then she talked about ways that we can appreciate yoga's root culture, that of India, and the wisdom that's been brought through the yoga practice. And here are some tips. Consider whether your actions may be causing harm and try to reduce that harm. Another powerful way to avoid appropriation is to honor yoga's roots. Learn about the culture, explore the lineages, explore the expanse of the practice far beyond just the physical, like read the sutras and cite sources of these wisdom teachings. If you're a yoga practitioner, you could ask your teachers for more than asana. Go deeper and take time to learn and practice more. Also, practice and teach as many of the limbs of yoga as possible so that we can experience the full range that yoga has to offer. Another is to own our positionality, honor our lineage. Another is to actively uplift, centralize those who have been left out. Consider yoga's legacy and the tradition. And then really be committed to studentship, practicing and teaching as we are always a student of this practice. Honor symbols and iconography, making sure that if we use images, regalia, statues, malas, that we know where they came from, what they mean, how to relate to them respectfully, and have a sincere intention at heart. Avoid exploitation, show that we really care about the aim to uplift, about others' well-being, and not that it's just a thing that we're doing. And then lastly, engage in courageous conversations in yoga sites that are not always comfortable, but deal with the real. So how can Asteya even take the form of respect, that we stand for what we believe in and we honor cultures? We appreciate them, those that have shared traditions like yoga. So as you are now beginning to extend your arms forward in bowing hero's pose, setting your forehead down still, draw your shoulder blades further back, your hips further back, And increasingly deepening your breath, walk your hands over to your right side, allowing your left side body a little more space as you breathe into that wall of your rib cage. You might even explore the feeling of stacking your left palm on top of your right palm. Let's take one more deep breath on this side. And then walk your hands through center onto your mat again, reaching over to your left. And as you lengthen your right side body, perhaps direct more breath into the right wall of your rib cage. You might even explore stepping your right palm on top of the left. So now easing into Ujjayi Pranayama, the breathing technique, also known as Victorious, as you walk your hands forward to center, rock forward onto hands and knees, paralleling your shins. And on your next inhale, glide your chest forward, lifting it into cow pose, shoulders dropping down. As you exhale, press the ground with your palms to hollow your belly and round your back. Cat pose. Taking a few more cycles slowly as you connect movement to breath. So in Ujjayi Pranayama, this breathing technique, you softly constrict the back of the throat. So as you're breathing through your nose, you create a very gentle whispering sound. Something that is subtle that you can steady your attention on and help keep your mind in the present, embodying presence. On your next exhale, tuck your toes behind you, lift your hips back, entering downward facing dog. Take the first few breaths any way you might like to shift around if so. Feel your hands with your wrists hips width apart. Point your index fingers straight forward so they're parallel to each other. Widen your thumbs flat onto the earth, and as though you're pushing the mat forward and away from your feet. Feel the rise of energy up your arms, spine, and hips. Let your head hang. Wrap your triceps towards the floor and create wide space across your shoulders. And then steady your gaze on the floor towards your feet as we take 3 more breaths here. In Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Bend your knees any amount you may need, especially in the beginning when the hamstrings are still warming up. Begin to walk your feet forward to meet your hands at the front of your mat. Standing in a forward fold, Uttanasana. Feet still hips width apart, parallel your second toes, and then bend your knees so much that your belly rests onto your thighs. Tilt your weight forward, a little more towards the toes and heels, and then reach your hands behind you to interlace your fingers and broaden your chest. And as you breathe in, lift your heart, gaze forward, and lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold even more, dropping your skull and maybe moving it around to soften your neck. Take a few breaths here. You might even gently sway your spine as you lightly straighten one leg and the other. Continue to reach your arms forward away from your lower back while lifting your shoulders up away from your ears and just letting your head be heavy. A lot of space in your neck and throughout your spine. Now let your arms just hang freely. Let your head hang freely. And as you continue to bend your knees, root down through all the soles of your feet. And begin to hollow your belly as you breathe into roll. One vertebra at a time, stacking from the bottom up. Rising to stand. And when you lift the crown of your head, shrug your shoulders and exhale to roll them back. Bend down, palms facing forward. Standing tall in Tadasana, mountain pose. As you root down through the four corners of each foot, feel the energy in your legs, feel the lift at your chest. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, looking up. Palms meeting, exhale, hinge from your hips, bend your knees any amount needed, bowing into Uttanasana. Press the ground ahead, your blocks or shins, and inhale, draw your chest forward through your upper arms. Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, plant your fingertips outside your heels, step your left knee back into a kneeling lunge. As you inhale, expand your chest forward here, softly scissor your right outer hip back. And as you exhale, curl up your right toes to flex the foot, straightening the right leg some amount as you fold inside of it, half split. As you inhale, rebend your right knee, lift your back knee into a high lunge. As you exhale, step into plank pose, knees on the floor, legs straight, gliding forward, come all the way down. Elbows hugging in, close to your sides. Plant the tops of your feet and slide your forearms forward, inhaling to Sphinx pose, broaden your chest, look on the ground ahead. Exhale, slide your wrists alongside your floating ribs and press up through plank, lifting the hips back, downward facing dog. Take a full cycle of breath here as you steady your gaze. Rooting down through both palms, inhale, raise your left leg behind you. As you exhale, bend your left knee, turn it open at the hip. Breathe in, tack your right hip further back. And as you exhale, lightly step your left foot just inside of your left hand. Set your right knee down, kneeling lunge. Inhale, broaden your chest forward. Exhale, curl up your left toes into a half split, straightening the left leg some degree as you bow inside of it. Inhale, tuck your right toes, lift your right knee, high lunge. Exhale, step the right foot forward, hips distance from the left. Circling your arms, inhale, rise, let your palms be overhead. Exhale, trace your thumbs down your center line to Tadasana. Same thing, side two, inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, hinge forward, Uttanasana. Press with your fingertips. Inhale, draw your heart forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Lower your hands outside your heels. Exhale, right knee steps back, kneeling lunge again. Inhale, broaden your chest forward. Feel your pelvis. Exhale, curl up your left toes, straightening the leg towards half split as you bow. Inhale, bend the front knee again, lift the back knee, high lunge. Exhale into your version of plank, lowering forward through Chaturanga Dandasana and all the way down. This time for Cobra, keep your hands alongside floating ribs. Breathe in, coil your chest up. Breathe out, lift through plank and to downward facing dog. Pause, let's take a deep breath. With energy in your hands, inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Exhale here, bend your right knee, turn open your thigh at the hip. Inhale, tack your left outer hip further back. Exhale, softly land right foot forward inside of your right hand. Lower your back knee, kneeling lunge. As you breathe and blossom your chest forward. As you breathe out, straighten your right leg, curl the toes up, half split. Inhale, rise to a high lunge, lifting the back knee. Exhale, step left foot forward to fold at the top. Sweeping your arms, inhale, rise to the top, palms meet. Exhale, trace your thumbs down your center. A new vinyasa flow. We're going right into continuous movement. Inhale, circle your arms up. With a gentle back bend, gaze up, lift your chest. Exhale, knees slightly bent, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen your spine halfway up. Step or float into chaturanga this time. Moving into cobra or upward facing dog as you inhale. Exhale into downward facing dog. Right into it. Inhale, raise your right leg back. Exhale, bend the knee. Again, turn open at the hip. Inhale, tack your left hip further back. And exhale, lightly step right foot directly between your hands. Warrior two, spin the back heel down, align heel to arch. Inhale, cartwheel your arms to rise up to stand. Keep your right knee bent. Exhale, reverse it. Peaceful warrior, right palm sweeps towards your rear wall. Exhale, right forearm forward lands onto your right thigh. Left arm sweeps towards front wall. Side angle pose. Inhale, rise back to warrior two. Exhale your hands into plank as you lower to flow. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Bhujangasana Cobra or Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward dog. Exhale back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Side two. Inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, bend the knee, turn open at the hip. Inhale, tack right hip further back. Exhale, lightly step left foot between your hands for warrior two. Spin the back heel down, heel to arch. Breathe in, windmill your arms. Breathe out, reverse it. Flip the left palm back to peaceful warrior. And inhale, left forearm to left thigh. Side angle pose, extended right arm overhead towards the front wall. And then rise up, warrior two. With an exhale, lower to plank, Chaturanga Dandasana. Choosing cobra or upward facing dog. And back to downward facing, where we'll land for 3 to 5 breaths. Deep inhale. Slow releasing exhale. So we're gonna take the same sequence, one more round. Bending your knees, lift your heels and hips high, look beyond your hands. On emptied breath, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat. Then inhale, draw your chest forward in Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bow in Uttanasana. Root down through your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms up to rise in Urdhva Hastasana. Then exhale, trace your thumbs down your midline, standing in Tadasana, mountain. One more time, inhale, sweep your arms overhead, gaze up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen your chest forward. Either step into Chaturanga or float into it, moving to your own vinyasa, all the way through to downward facing dog. Then inhale, raise your right leg. And again, exhale, bend the knee, turn open at the hip. Inhale, tack left hip back. Exhale, lightly step right foot between your hands, back heel down, heel to arch. Inhale, cartwheel your arms to warrior two. Keep your right knee bent. Reverse it into peaceful warrior. Inhale, rise and reach the right forearm forward onto right thigh, left arm overhead, side angle pose. And exhale, come back to warrior two. Take a deep in, warrior two. And exhale your hands into plank, lowering into your own vinyasa. All the way through. Then again in downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, bend the knee. Turn open at the hip. Inhale, tack your right hip further back. And exhale, set your left foot forward between your hands. Align heel to arch. Inhale, windmill your arms to rise, warrior two. Exhale, flip the left palm back to peaceful warrior. Inhale, reach the left forearm to left thigh, side angle pose, right arm reaches to the front. Exhale, rise back to warrior two and stay for one inhalation. Ride the exhalation down into your choice of vinyasa. And let's meet in downward facing dog for several breaths. Can you feel a rebalancing of your breath? The qualities of effort with ease, of focus with surrender. Let's wrap this up. Bend your knees, look forward. Bottom of your exhale, lightly land at the top. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale to fold. Inhale, rise tall. And exhale, join your hands together at your heart. So standing in mountain pose with your feet touching, spread your toes, energize your legs. Shift your weight onto your left foot as I'm mirroring you. Turn out your right leg at the hip. Hug the sole of your foot against your inner left ankle. You could keep your toes on the floor. Or into your inner calf. Or take your ankle and place the sole above your knee onto your inner thigh. But wherever you're pressing against your left leg, press back into the sole of your foot. So just like your palms are doing, there's a feeling of sandwiching your midline. And notice the stability, that tone of stability it creates. Feel a sense of lifting your pelvic floor as your lower abdomen lightly engages, your chest lifts, your shoulders relax. And then you might explore raising your arms overhead, whether together or apart. Maybe even adding the challenge of looking up or closing your eyes. And being playful with these variations, knowing that even if you fall, it is part of the practice to notice how you deal with a fall. How do you relate to that experience, just like you're relating to balancing in a posture? Can you still hear your breathing? And as you rejoin your palms at your heart center, set your right foot down to kiss the left. Breathe in and breathe out. As you shift your weight onto your right foot, activate the muscles in that leg. So you're rooting down with a rebounding lift up through all of your body. Turn out your left leg at the hip. Hug the inside of your right ankle, toes on the ground, or calf, or take the ankle and place the sole onto your inner thigh. Sandwiching your midline. Feel how that stability of sandwiching allows the turnout, especially of your left thigh at the hip. Feel how the rooting down allows an uplift. So all these seeming polarities like the inhale and the exhale, how they work together to create a whole feeling of balance. And then any way you want to play with your arms, your gaze. One more deep breath here. Then join your palms at your heart and set your left foot down. Standing at the front of your mat, keep your feet touching Then bend your knees together, sitting back into chair pose as we flow through sun salutation B. On your next exhale, bow forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen your spine halfway, step or float back to Chaturanga, carrying it through your vinyasa. We'll meet in downward facing dog. With a breath-led movement, inhale, raise your right leg. Keeping your hips leveled, exhale, softly step your right foot forward, just inside of your right hand. Feet are hips width apart as you drop the back heel. Then inhale, rise facing forward in Warrior One. The exhale takes you down to plank and Chaturanga Dandasana. And with the inhale, lifting your chest in Cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing for side two. Inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, lightly step your foot inside of your left hand, spinning the back heel down and facing forward. Feet hips width. Inhale, rise to Warrior One. Virabhadrasana One. Exhale, lower into your vinyasa, taking it all the way through. Let's arrive in downward dog, 3 to 5 breaths here. Bending your knees, look beyond where you want to land your feet. And at the bottom of your exhale, with breath held out, walk or float there. Breathe in, lengthen halfway. Breathe out to fold. With knees touching, feet touching. Inhale, sit low, lean back in chair pose. Press through your feet to rise, exhaling to mountain once more. Surya Namaskar B, Sun Salutation B. Inhale, sit low in chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, bow forward in Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step back or float back through Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Bhujangasana or Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, lift your right leg, squaring your hips. Exhale, step the foot forward, back heel down. Inhale, rise into Virabhadrasana One. Exhale, lower into your flow. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Once there, inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale the foot lightly inside of your left hand. Breathe in to rise, Virabhadrasana One. Exhale, lower, Vinyasa, or none. As you hold still for a few breaths in Adho Mukha, slow your breath down. Knowing when your body needs moments of rest, that you can take it. Child's pose or whatever resting pose, or just slowing things down. Wrapping up this sun salutation B, bend your knees, look forward. Bottom of the out breath, lightly land. With feet touching, inhale, broaden your chest forward. Exhale, fold. With knees touching, inhale, sit low in chair pose. Adding, join your hands at your heart and begin to twist to your right as you breathe out. Inhale, pause, and draw your tailbone down, lengthen your spine forward. Exhale, keep your knees in one line, rotate your chest further. You might want to add a leverage of hooking your left upper arm against your outer right thigh, whether your hands remain in prayer towards the center of your chest, or you open your arms wide like wings. Breathe in, breathe out. Trusting your inner power, your will, as we take 2 last breaths in Parita Utkatasana. As you lower your tailbone some more, breathe in, back to chair pose. Exhale, rise into mountain. Before we take side 2, we're gonna play with balancing just a little bit more. Now that maybe your legs are just a little more awake. So shift your weight, I'm gonna mirror you again, onto your left foot. Place your left hand on your left hip. Try to keep your left and right hips leveled, your lower abdomen engaged. Energy in your left leg. As you raise your right knee about the height of your right hip, flex the foot and catch the outer knee with your right hand. Now you can continue to hold your knee as we open the leg and the left arm. If you want to explore straightening your right leg to some degree, bring your right arm inside of the leg and clasp your big toe with your index and middle finger. And as you're still flexing the foot, you can begin to kick the leg forward while pulling it towards you so as to keep your shoulders relaxed right above your hips. Spine tall. Then turning out your right thigh at the hip, you can open the leg slowly, open the left arm too, and you're now in Uddita Hasta Parangushtasana, or hand to big toe pose. How's your breathing? And here you could even play with looking over your left thumb if you like, or closing your eyes. Just a few more breaths. Directing your gaze forward, slowly bring your right leg forward, your left arm up. Take a deep breath and stand tall. Then exhale, softly land your right foot next to the left. Back to mountain pose, which is also called equal standing pose, Namaste. So as you feel that, bring your feet together, knees together. Inhale, sit back into Utkatasana. Join your hands at your heart. And exhale, begin to twist to the left. Pause as you breathe in, maybe sinking your hips a little lower, but definitely lengthening your spine. Then exhale, keep your hips leveled and continue to twist. Perhaps adding the leverage of right elbow pressing against outer left thigh. Whether palms remain in prayer at the heart or arms wide open. Relax your shoulders down. Soften your eyes, your mouth. You're just here for 2 more breaths. As you sit a little lower, unravel your arms forward and up, breathe in. Then exhale, rise up to mountain pose. So use that heat that you may have built, especially in your quadriceps, to feel rooting down as you shift your weight onto your right foot and spread the toes. Right hand to right hip, hips level, navel drawing in. Bend your left knee about the hip. Your left hand. Flex your left foot the entire pose. Stay here, or if you want to some degree straighten the leg, bring your arm inside the leg and clasp your big toe with your peace fingers. Kicking the leg slowly forward as you pull it towards you so as to honor a vertical center line. Turn out your left leg and begin to open it. Right arm opens too. Feel the ground beneath. Feel the lift of energy too. And even here, can you feel a sense of hugging your midline as you're plugging your left thigh bone into the hip socket and your right hip is hugging back towards it, which allows you the feeling of stability to expand. Maybe look over your right shoulder, last few breaths. Uddita Hasta Parangushtasana. And if you're looking away, slowly gaze forward again. Bring your left leg forward and right arm to the sky. Take one deep breath. Then exhale softly. Lower your left foot. And back to mountain pose. Coming back to the top of your mat. Inhale, lift your arms. Find a gentle back bend. Draw your tailbone towards your heels and lift your heart space. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen halfway, optional vinyasa. Otherwise, step back to downward dog, where we'll meet. And then let's come down to our knees. We're going to prepare for some inversions, beginning together in dolphin pose, and some of you may opt to stay in dolphin pose for the second round after that, or some of you might progress towards preparing and maybe practicing headstand Shirshasana. And if you feel more comfortable moving your mat near a wall, if you have an open wall nearby, you could just bring your mat perpendicular against the wall, and you'll have a foot away from the wall to place your fingers. So let's begin in dolphin. With your arms extended forward, rotate your triceps towards the ground and be conscious of that broadening of your shoulder blades onto your back ribs. So that is shoulder stability. No, you don't ever want to feel like you're lifting the shoulders towards your neck and pulling them out of their sockets. You're drawing them into their sockets. And then set your elbows on the ground firmly, shoulders width. Do interlace your fingers, and if you like, you can make a snail out of your pinky fingers so as not to crush any one of them. And then root down through your outer wrists, forearms, and elbows in order to feel energy rise up, lifting to create space in your shoulder joints rather than a feeling of collapsing into them. Notice that difference, collapsing and rooting to rise. So as you root to rise, you allow more control in your balance, space in your neck. Tuck your toes, your hips, and see if you can walk your feet forward. Now at the same time, you're pressing your chest back towards your shins so that your shoulders never hover in front of your elbows. They're even slightly behind your elbows. You can either relax your neck and just let your head hang freely, or you can look forward towards your thumbs, which is more active, up to you. You can even bring your feet together and explore straightening one leg up as you keep your hips squared, flexing the lifted foot. Maybe a few breaths, and then you'll come down to rest in child's pose. And then maybe the second round, you do the opposite leg if you're remaining in dolphin. Whenever you're ready, let's take about 3 breaths in bowing hero's pose, aka child's pose. And on a side note, this mantra that is being sung right now, Ramadasa, Sase Soham, is a heart healing mantra. All right. Some of you might go into dolphin pose, or you might opt for downward facing dog. Otherwise, progressing towards Shirshasana or headstand. Extend your arms forward, rotate your triceps down, interlace your fingers, make a snail out of your pinkies. Root your elbows exactly shoulders width, firm your outer wrists and forearms into the ground, and feel a sense of rooting down to lift energy up. Bring the very top center of your skull to the floor so that the back of your skull is lightly resting into your inner palms, but I have a space between palms and head. They're touching, but there's some space also. And then from here, you lift your hips like you would entering dolphin and try to walk your feet forward even closer to your face. You start to feel as you lift your heels higher, your pelvic bowl begin to turn upside down. So referencing mountain pose, it's the stacking of major joints. You might begin to lift one leg and flex the foot, really hug your midline. Try not to turn out your lifted leg. And lifting one leg can You might use hamstring power to lift the opposite leg, or you lower that foot and you try the opposite leg. Remembering not to kick up into this, which is different than a handstand, because if you were to kick up towards headstand, putting the shock into your neck, which you don't want. You want a slow and controlled entrance and exit. And if you are completely upside down, feel that vertical line of stacking your ankles, feet together and flexed, over your hips, over your shoulders, over your elbows. And that rooting down through the forearms to lift the shoulders, create space in the neck, and rise up through your inner heels, big toe mounds. Now whenever you feel like you're done, let's meet back in Adho Mukha Virasana, bowing or downward facing hero's pose. So once you've rested for a few breaths, slide your hands alongside your knees and inhale, roll your spine upright to sit. We're going to come into upright or supine hero's pose to prepare for some more active back bends, helping to lengthen our quadriceps and open our hip flexors. So here are some choices. If it's not comfortable on your knees to sit on your shins like this, you may want to grab a block or two and place them right in between your ankles to elevate your pelvis on. The higher that prop is, the less you're bending your knees. And if it's just altogether not okay for you to sit like this, maybe you've had some knee surgery, then you could opt for Sphinx pose and instead catch hold of one inner ankle like we've done in the past, taking this posture on your own on each side for 5 or so breaths each. Now, for those of you that are okay with sitting on your shins, you might explore further by taking your hands to your calves and rolling your calves out to the sides as you sit on the ground right in between your ankles. In any version of hero's pose, make sure that your toes are pointing straight behind you. They're not turning out. This is to keep your knees safe. And then from here, you might see how it feels to begin leaning back slowly as you take deep breaths. Visualizing your tailbone reaching forward, not tilting back, but reaching towards the space between your knees, as you don't want to feel any kind of strain or compression, definitely pain, in your lower back. Very mindful of what sensations arise, knowing the difference between injurious or discomfort because something is opening. So let's take another 5, maybe 10 deep breaths before we start to shift out of the position you're in now. As your attention rides the soft waves of your breath, feel into your upper body and how it's responding to this posture right now. Relaxing your jaw and tongue. And even relaxing your shoulders. Try to keep your knees from splaying apart wider than hips width. Really feel your knees on the ground. Let's take 2 last breaths. Taking your time, slowly lift your torso upright. We're going to come all the way down to our bellies, lying face down with legs straight back. Bringing your arms down beside your thighs with palms face down. Let's prepare for Shalabhasana or locust pose. Try to keep your ankles hips width or narrower in distance apart. Point your toes and actively stretch your tailbone and legs back, keeping your feet parallel. And as you breathe in, coil your chest up, lifting your arms, legs, head, everything you can, counting for 5 or more deep breaths before you lower. Now with arms, you could opt to open your arms like a wide wingspan. You could add the rigor of extending your arms forward if you're seeking that. Palms facing forward, upper arms alongside the ears. Make sure it doesn't feel like you're cranking your neck. You're looking on the floor head and it's your chest lifting, your shoulders rolling back that's helping to lift your gaze forward. Press your heels back, lift your inner thighs towards the sky. Glutes are engaged but not over-engaged. And then when you're ready, you might want to make a pillow out of your forearms as you rest your head to one side. Pigeon toeing your feet to help relax your lower back. 3 deep breaths into your abdomen and maybe out to your mouth. Now this mantra that's being sung right now means may all beings be happy and free, and may I contribute to that. All right, last back bend on our bellies is your choice of again Shalabhasana, just like you did, or Dhanurasana, bow pose. If the latter, slide your knees close together, then bend them. With your hands, catch hold of your outer feet. Press your pubic bone onto the ground and kick your legs towards straight while pulling your feet towards your glutes and coil your chest up. Draw your shoulder blades down your back. Again, 5 or more deep breaths. Try to keep your knees no wider apart than hips distance, as that helps to support your lower back. And when you're ready to let it go, perhaps turn your head to the opposite side, whether you pigeon toe your feet, or maybe this time windshield wiper your shins together side to side for a little more active release for your lower back. 3 deep belly breaths. So the last active heart opening posture. You might choose to roll onto your back and come into bridge pose. Feet hips width apart parallel, lifting your pelvis, arms underneath for 5 or more breaths. If you're seeking a little bit more opening in the chest, then you might come to stand on your knees for Ustrasana, camel pose. If the latter, you may want to hug a block. Well, for either one, you may want to hug a block narrows width between your thighs, as again, that helps to support your lower back. Those of you coming into camel, tuck your toes behind you, bring your hands onto your lower back, fingertips face down. And with your palms, you're encouraging 2 things. Your tailbone to lengthen down like an anchor right between your knees, and your pelvis to remain forward to stack above your knees the entire pose. And with that, take a deep breath, lifting your chest and back ribs. Exhale, draw your shoulder heads back and down, and you're in it. 5 or more breaths. Now, if you're able to reach one hand to hold one heel, you could do that and switch, or both hands, just as long as you're feeling no pain or compression in your lower back. Focusing on arching the area right beneath your shoulder blades more. ready to come out with the help of your hands and your lower back, slowly roll your spine upright. And let's all eventually meet in a comfortable seat. Legs in front of you to set up for a seated spinal twist. Really great for neutralizing the spine after some deep back bends. So extend your left leg forward and decide to either place your right foot directly in front of the hip or cross the foot outside of your left knee, in which you might also bend your left knee. And just the option that allows you to sit tall and your hips to stay balanced. Place your right hand on the floor behind your pelvis, raise your left arm, and as you press into the ground, even with the sole of your right foot, lift to your spine and crown, take a deep breath. Exhaling, twist to your right and lower your left arm, holding your shin, or maybe eventually hooking the elbow outside of your right thigh. Keep breathing in, rooting down to lift tall, and breathing out, turning your rib cage as you hollow your belly. Perhaps looking over your right shoulder. Let's take 3 more breaths. As you exhale, unwind your spine. And let's cross the right shin over or in front of the left shin. So you could either sit in Sukhasana, more of a cross-legged seat, or further opening the hips in double pigeon. In double pigeon, you'll want to flex both of your feet in a way that you can't see your soles. They're facing the side walls, and stack your ankles and knees. So your shins are like fire logs right on top of each other. And grounding your sitting bones, or maybe sitting on top of a prop, lift your chest, breathe in, and exhale, begin to walk your hands forward. Easing into a forward fold. Now, especially if you have a tender lower back or sensitive lower back, feel your belly engage towards it, giving it support as you're bowing. On your next inhale, begin to rise, lifting through your chest, walking your hands towards you. Relax your toes and extend your legs forward, preparing for a twist on side 2. Step your left foot either in front of the hip or outside of your right knee. Maybe bend your right knee too. Place your left hand on the ground behind your pelvis. Press into the ground, right arm up, breathe in, lengthen your spine. Breathe out, twist to your left and lower your right arm. Maybe hooking the elbow outside the thigh. Inhale, lengthen some more to your crown. Exhale, hollow your belly. Maybe look behind you. The end of this breath, unwind your spine, cross your left leg forward or on top of the right leg, either sitting cross-legged or in double pigeon, in which you flex both of your feet and stack your ankles and knees. Now, I didn't say this on the first side, but if your top thigh is lifting a good space away from the bottom leg, you can put something in between them like a block, and that space might lessen as you're in the pose longer. So ground your sitting bones, lift up, breathe in, and then exhale, hinge from your hips. Keep your pelvis feeling rooted as you're folding forward. One last breath here. And then leading with your chest, walk your hands towards you and breathe in slowly to rise up. Stretching your legs forward. Relax your toes for a moment. You might even shake out your legs. Getting ready to fold forward, you might grab your strap and place it around the balls of your feet. Otherwise, raise your arms. Either way, flex your feet, press your big toe mounds forward, spread your toes, ground your sitting bones, and take a deep breath. Keep your heart and throat area open and extend your chest forward as you bow, belly firming in. And if you're not holding a strap, do hold on to something like your legs, your pant legs, or clasp your big toes. Inhale, rise halfway up, broaden your sternum forward, shoulder blades down, and then keep that as you're exhaling to bow further. Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. On your next inhale, begin to lift your sternum and then your spine. Please find a comfortable seat for alternate nostril breathing before Shavasana. So integrating these various limbs of yoga, remember that asana is just the third limb, and today we talked about the first limb, Asteya, and now pranayama is the fourth limb, breathwork. So rest your left hand on your lap. You might bring the thumb and first finger to touch. And with your right hand, stick out your thumb, pinky, and ring finger. Closing your lips, sustain your breath softly and smoothly through your nose. And eventually you might close your eyes and steady your gaze at the brow center. Let's start together and then drift off at your own pace whenever you've got the pattern. Empty this breath. Hold it out. Cover your right nostril with your right thumb and inhale through your left. Hold your breath in. Last two right fingers cover left nostril. Exhale softly, slowly to the right. Hold it out. Inhale right. Hold. Cover right with thumb. Exhale left. Hold. Inhale left. Hold. Cover left. Exhale right. Hold. Inhale right. Hold. Cover right with thumb. Exhale left. Hold. Inhale left. Hold. Cover left. Exhale right. Hold. Inhale right. Hold. Cover right. And exhale left. Relax both palms onto your lap. And just feel the effects of that. You may want to keep your eyes closed as you gently lower your body to rest. Now entering corpse pose or Shavasana. And now you might choose to remain lying down, staying longer in Shavasana, or meditating there. But if you'd like to rise up to sit for 5 minutes of meditation, then let your body gently move into a sitting position. And this brings us to the practice of the sixth and seventh limb of yoga. Dharana, which is concentrating, practicing on focusing our attention as we observe our minds or our breaths, whatever's the focus of your meditation, into a sustained state of focusing, which is meditation, dhyana. I'm going to set the timer now for 5 minutes. Begin to expand your attention back into your body and your surroundings, perhaps joining your palms to meet at your heart. And just like we are aware of our physical alignment, holding yoga postures for our feeling of balance and kindness to ourselves, may we continue to cultivate awareness of our thoughts, words, and actions, contributing balance and kindness to our world in a practice of Asteya. Let's close with one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.